Hey crafters, it's me Jen Evers with Quality Crafts, and it's finally Friday! So if you are still at work or if you're finally at home, woohoo! Yay for you! You made it through the week. And we are doing Friday free play. So we're working with watercolor today. I kind of gave you a little bit of a heads up all week about what we were going to be doing. Actually, was it 2 weeks? No, 1 week. Um, so I may turn this into a series depending on like where we go with this and what we get done. But basically what I wanted to do was play around with watercolor and show you a little bit what you can do with it. And today I'm going to use some of the stuff that I have out here. These are the things that I've created thus far, and I just wanted to show you some of the fun things you can do with it. We're also going to be using a regular stamp. Now, anytime you use a stamp that's got a lot of space, you can do some really cool watercolor stuff on here. And okay, so I want to talk a little bit about what you can use for watercolor if you don't have specifically labeled watercolor stuff, because there's so many things that you can use to create watercolor effect that is just crazy. You might actually have that stuff in your stash right now. So hello to Sharon Schaefer, Memory Lane Keepsakes, Wanda, hello, happy Friday. Woohoo, Friday. So this is one that I did. I just did a whole panel of watercoloring, and then I cut out, I die cut with my Gemini, but then I used the negative pieces, the negative space in there, and I glued that onto a piece of paper. That was a little tricky. I sprayed it with some mica mist that I actually created because I wanted to cover up a little bit of the glue markings that kind of made me crazy, but it turned out really pretty. So these are things that you can just throw on a card. Here's another one that I cut out. Same piece of stuff that I made. A couple of other, here's some Tim Holtz cuts out of that. And then I did this one. Yeah, Penny's not here anymore. I'm sad too. Here's another one that I did that I cut out of that same watercolor panel. But look at the gold accents. Now, we're not here to talk about that, but it just was another really cool thing to make that color pop. And all I did was use some rub-ons. If you've not seen those before, they look just like this. And you can use Q-tip or whatever you want to use, but I just like to use my finger. And then lightly touch so that it draws out the fact that there's like an embossed, fun little, shapes and petals on those that you wouldn't normally see. And I wanted to bring that out. So anyway, these are literally called metallic rub-ons. Okay. I'll have to catch later at work, no sound on. Leave to go home in 15 minutes. Yay, Mary Beth. Okay, so I'm going to start off with something really simple that you can do by using just any kind of markers that you have, water-based markers or whatnot. I'm going to use, I should have brought out my water. You know what? I will, just so that you guys can see this too. I thought I had my water-based markers out here already. Well, maybe I do. There they are. Okay. I have water-based markers in here. I know I've shown these before, and then these are the watercolor markers that I really like to use. Smart Color Art. And so I'll show you with these. And then one thing that I want to bring out in particular for this watercolor video is the Arteza. Now, you can also get the Zig, I think this is Zig? Help me out, Penny. Is it the Zig water? Zig something, I can't think of it. Anyway, there's a brand of Zig too, but I just happen to have the Arteza brand here. And this is a watercolor without even having to think too much. You just color onto this and then spray it with water. So I have my water spritzer right here. Try to pick colors that are going to go well together. So I think just for this one, I'm going to do purple and like pink. Let's Let's see what else would go well with that. Blue would go well with that. Purple and blue. And then maybe a little bit of pink. I'll try to get a bright pink in here. Zig Clean color. Then these are called Real Brush pens. These are made for watercoloring. They only work on watercolor paper though, I'm going to tell you that. So here's a bunch of just water-based colors, nothing special. Any kind of markers you have will do. And then spray it with water so you can get your, it'll bead up. To be able to see that bead up. I haven't done this in a while. And let's see what we get. And I'm using watercolor paper. I know someone's going to want to know exactly what kind it is. I have it right here. XL Canson watercolor. 9x12, 140 pound cold press. Ooh, look at that. Look how cool that turned out. Neat, neat, neat. Let's try to do a second time and get what we see what we get. Oh yeah. Very cool. You can do this with any kind of stamp that you want. If you have a heart stamp because you want to do a background of hearts, you can do that. Circle, squares, any kind of stamps that have like a bold lot of space. Because if you do intricate ones, it's just not going to look as pretty. You get what I'm saying? Flowers, fantastic. I like this because it just gives you more of a space. So then you could cut this out and you could put something in front of it. So that's basically it. I'm just going to dab off a little bit of that water because that's almost dry already. Isn't that pretty? So one watercolor technique, totally simple. All you need are your water-based colors, markers, Crayola, what other kinds? Just anything that's water-based will totally work with that. Any stamp. Let's try something with these that, actually let me show you one with this, I wanted to say Zig. The Arteza brand. I'm going to show you something with the Arteza brand that I really, really like about it. I've got my water right here, my rinse well. Never seen that before. It's really cool. It's a place to hold your water in this tower right here. And then this flushes like a little toilet. The water goes down into the base. And as soon as this is empty, then you know to dump out the base and refill. That way you won't ever overfill it. But anyway, this is something really cool about the Arteza brand. What they call the Real Brush Pens Premium. One thing I love about it is that these things open up and they're in trays. So you can just pull out a tray. I'm going to pull this one out. Because I want to do a blue and a purple. I guess I'm really drawn to those colors today. But anyway, I'm going to dip this in the water and watch what happens. Have you guys seen the chameleon pens? People weren't real happy with those, but watch this. It's almost like you have a chameleon pen right here. Because that color is just going to get stronger and stronger the farther out you get. So you can make your own ombre. Isn't that pretty? I had so much fun just playing around with this. Let's do a purple one. Oh, not purple, I got mostly pink here. Cool. Isn't that neat? Let's do a yellow one in the middle of the So this was literally the one that I wanted to show you guys. This was what I wanted the whole video to be about, was just using these markers because it's just so much fun. Okay, I need a yellow. Now, I got a little green on here. See that? So I'm going to dip it again and see what we get from that. It's almost like a little bit of a lime green. And then as that wears off, we turn into the bright yellow. But isn't that cool? These are the Arteza watercolor markers. Yeah, and at first I thought, oh, they really sucked. And what I was looking for, specifically looking for, was a watercolor pen, watercolor marker that I could use on my, not on watercolor paper. I was searching and searching, and I was buying and buying all the watercolor markers I could find because I wanted something that I could stamp my image on my regular 110-pound cardstock and then put a little bit of color in there and then use my brush for blending it out. And so far I've not found a single one that'll do that. But that's my dream, so that you don't have to buy the expensive watercolor paper. You can just do it on the paper that you have at home. Anyway, this is watercolor reactive, so meaning it'll react to water, so you can still, I'm going to spray some on my finger and do some droplets here. Much like Tim Holtz Distress Inks. And you should be able to pick that color back up. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Arrow Mama. No, you haven't missed a thing. But isn't that cool? So you can totally do that. And so I did a lot of playing around with all the stuff. So if you missed it in the beginning where I showed you all of these things that I made of, I did a huge panel. I did the whole 9x12 sheet of the watercolor paper. Here I'm just kind of showing you a little bit of what you can do and some of the little techniques that I did as far as watercolor goes with these markers. Now, if we love this enough to make this into a series, then I will show you how you can do watercolor with all sorts of other things as well. But today we're going to kind of focus on that. And so I'm going to show you how you can drop water down. You can use your water brushes with this. A lot of you guys got these. I'm just going to drop some water here and spread that out. You can also do it that way. So let me bring in a darker blue and just put some of that blue in there and watch that move with the water. Okay. Now, see how white this tip has turned? Now we can still do that technique where it's going to be really, really light. And then keep going. And it's going to get darker and darker and darker. Now, don't be thrown off by the fact that that at the end, like when you want to go really wide, look, it looks like there's no ink coming out. That's because this is textured. And it's made for watercoloring, not just like coloring something in. There's plenty of ink in that marker, and all you have to do is just rub it back and forth. Add a little bit of water. You can move it around. Let's do like a mark right here and come back to it and see what that does. So I want to show you that you can move that stuff around too after the fact. And don't be afraid to use your water marker with it too. You don't have to go straight out with just the marker itself. So if I put a little bit of water on this now, this is just my regular water brush here. I sell these, so if you're looking for them, you can get them from me. And I'm going to go over the top of this. I'm going to try to rinse this out so that I don't see the line anymore. See if we can pull that off. Almost. You can almost do it. You can still see that mark there. See it? cool. Let's grab a blue that looks kind of tealish. A tealy blue. This is pretty. And I'm just dipping the marker directly right into that water so I can move it around. Don't be afraid to put the water on directly on with the marker, but you can definitely use the watercolor brush. And now I'm just going to go, and I know that purple and blue mix well, so I'm just kind of going around, putting a little bit of blue down, mixing it in with the purple. Let's get some different colors in here. You don't have to be magically awesome with watercolor to get really awesome results. It's just all about playing with what you have. So if all you have is watercolor markers, let's say you don't have, so this turned out super light and it almost looks like white space, and I like that. Leave a little white space. That always turns out really pretty. Let's say you don't have, you're like, oh, well, I don't have the watercolor markers, or I can't afford them right now, but I have blocks, right? Then what you're going to do is you're just going to go ahead and do the smoosh technique, which I've shown on probably a billion times. Same thing as what we did right away in the beginning. Let's go ahead and put down all your color. And these are just my water-based markers. They're not watercolor markers. Let's do red, blue, and yellow, because those should all work really well together. Primary colors. Red, blue, and yellow. That yellow is super bright. Look, it's like fluorescent. I don't know why that's fluorescent and nothing else really is. And then we're just going to give this a spritz of water. Just like we did before. You can give it tons of water so it all mixes together, or you can give it just a little bit of water so it doesn't smoosh as far. You'll be able to see that on this. So I put a lot of water here, and on the outside, not as much water. Look at that. Go ahead and smoosh it on the other side. Get a little bit more of that color on there. You can rub it back and forth. I'm going to move this over too. Ooh. Let's see what we get if we dab this off too. Dab that like grayer color that we got over the top. Bring out a little bit more of what's underneath there. Ooh, that's hard to see on the camera. So the less water you put on, the less of a smooshed out, like spread out look you're going to get. So let's try that too. Let's do some blue. We'll do the same thing again. Blue, red, and yellow. It's Friday! This time I won't put very much water on it. See if we can put a little bit more oomph into what this looks like here. I'm just going to dab off the darker gray colors that we got, because I don't want that on there. Hey, Sherry. Who else am I missing? Happy Friday! Let's go on the back of this and see if we can smoosh off some more of that. What happens if I move it? I'm just playing around. You know, you don't know what your tools and things can do, even by watching just my video or anybody else's video out there, unless you play around with this stuff to find out what it really can do. put these back. And I think playing around with watercolor is mesmerizing. I could watch it all day. I'd like to throw in another video where you use like a watercoloring technique to color in images, because that's super fun too. That's not something I'm going to get to today. So we have this one. Let's do the back of this one. I'm going to move these guys out of here. Is the picture being jerky for people? Let's do a green. We haven't really done a green. What's this one doing in here? This one looks more like turquoise than anything else. I'm looking at my playback and it is being jerky, so if you can refresh or come back and come back in, yeah. I'm going to try that too, see if it works for me. Hit the refresh button. Hopefully it'll bring you right back into the room. See if that clears it up for you. It didn't make a difference for you? Oh, mine came back in perfectly clear. Maybe try it one more time, because now mine's like working like a charm. So I'm going to go ahead and just put down some water. And then rub that right through the water. Oops, wrong marker. Wrong marker lid. You may have to watch it after the fact if it won't clear up for you. It cleared up for me. Mine's working really fab now. And just like on that last panel that I did with you guys, you don't have to stick with colors that go together if you let things dry in between. So let's see, I got these kind of put together here. Looks like there's still some water over here. Let's take advantage of that. Okay, so yellow does not jive with purple, right? So let's go ahead and wait for that to dry a little bit. Let's go ahead and try to put a little yellow in there. You don't have to mix it in. So I'm going to try to just touch the blue maybe, and then bring a little yellow out. And put it right up to the purple, but not in it. And I might be able to get a little bit on the edge here, so it looks like the yellow is meeting the purple. You see what I mean? If you don't want that to mix. I'm going to maybe do a little bit of green there. So my green kind of went over my purple there, but I didn't do a lot of it, so it looks like it's going to be okay. And then I'm going to add a little bit more water so that I can soften up that edge, because I don't want that to look like a harsh edge between the green and the yellow. I'm going to use my finger to help that out. Use all of your tools. Use your finger, whatever you got. I think I'm gonna broaden that out so I don't leave that completely filled in with water. Bring that color back out before I pop the cap back on and put it away. See, now you're getting the panel like I had where I cut the pieces out of, which is, I'm talking about like these things. So you can see where some of the color concentrated and some of it washed out, and I mixed and put different colors together. And you just kind of have to look at it and go, okay, what kind of want, let's go ahead and put some more purple over here because I have purple over there. Put a lot of water on there, so I might not get as much color unless I keep going. There we go. As it starts to dry, we get a little bit more color coming out of that. Leave a little bit of white space, even if it's not like fully white. Like that's not fully white, but it looks white. Leaving a little white space can sometimes have a big impact too. Let me see if I got another. This one's pretty colored in. This one's got a couple of spots that look like they might be kind of white. I think that makes the color pop a little bit more. Some artists talk about that a lot. They like the way it looks and other people just don't. So it's totally up to you. That looks good. So right now what I'm doing in this video, if you go back, we kind of played around with some stuff. I wanted to show you some alter things that you can do that if you don't have these right now, or you don't have a type of them, these are watercolor markers by Arteza. I did show you how you can do the smoosh technique using any kind of watercolor marker, Sherry, and you can also use stamps. Watercolor marker, you know, don't use alcohol markers because they're just going to stain your stamp. Use water-based markers. Color all over this, spritz it with a little bit of water, and then smash it down. You get a really fun watercolor effect. Watercolor done that way you can do on any paper that you have, and it'll turn out fabulous. If you're going to use these, highly recommend watercolor paper. It's not going to turn out real well on just a regular cardstock. So right now I'm using the Canson watercolor. It's a 140-pound cold press. I don't know anything about cold press, warm press, hot press, whatever, but this is really awesome. It takes a lot. It doesn't pill. It's sturdy. You can use it on cards. Fun stuff. But that's really pretty. So like I mentioned in the beginning, we're not here all about doing the cutouts, but I do want to show you. Here's one that we just set up here. And you can add more colors and darker colors if you want. Matter of fact, maybe I'll do that before we cut it. I am going to cut this one for you today so you can see how that turns out. So let's add a little bit of blue to this blue in the middle and darken it up some. It won't matter how it looks really, because once you cut something out, you're going to see bits and pieces of it. So you're not going to see a bunch of one whole piece that you did, one whole part, and go, oh, that's really ugly. You're going to just see little bits and pieces. So there's a little bit of a darker blue. We could pull out one of the darker greens here. So here I'm going to put a darker green down. Right, so we've got some dark green, some light green. Maybe we'll add in a little bit more of a dark purple. I am still dipping it in the water a little bit because I don't want to leave like super harsh lines, but at the same time I want to leave a little bit darker than the color we had originally. If that makes sense. And by dipping it in the water, you can get that to blend in a little bit more. Don't be afraid to use your water brushes too. I just kind of have felt like I like using this, but check that out. Then you can blend that all out, right? Let's do a little bit over here as well. I can see one little piece hanging on. I'm just going to pull that out. So you can just layer and layer and layer. That looks really cool. Oh, I didn't do a darker pink. Let's do one darker pink. I think that'd be fun. Wow, don't have much for darker pinks, but let's check this out. Almost looks like a red. Oh, that'll work. That'll work. Let's add a little water to that so we don't go crazy. That mixed with that turns out to be a nice darker pink. I think this is actually, they call this a red. Nope, they call it neon pink. Well, it's definitely dark. I don't know about neon. There we go. That looks really cool. So we're going to have some on the back too, because I showed you that smooshing technique with this on the back of this one, and we did double stamping. So depending on what kind of texture you want to see on your card or your background or whatever, this one was smooshed with a lot of water and watercolor, like just water-based markers, not watercolor ones. So that turned out really well. And then we just colored in on the back side. I'm going to go ahead and grab a die. We're going to cut this. I'm going to cut this one out for you. We're going to use the Gemini. So here are my Gemini plates. Let's go ahead and do something really fun like this. Now, I always cut side up. And so what I want to do is I want to put this cut side down on my paper. It's got a little bit of washi to hold it in place. But then I'm going to put it cut side up. So right now it's down. I'm going to flip it so the cut side is up so that it will stick to the magnet. And then I can put the sandwich together. I'm going to squish it from both sides to make sure that they're even. And then I'm going to put this through my Gemini. Looks like I got my magnet plate a little too wonky. Kind of got it ripped up on the side, but that's okay. It'll still work. This one is the kind that does not go all the way across. Let me go ahead and get my little guy out here. And my scissors. So you have to cut it off here. This die works really well on gatefold cards. See if we can get those last few pieces to come out. Looks like I might have had a couple of pieces sitting in my die. Plus it's still a little wet. There's that other fun side. Can't get that one to come out. I might have to cut that with my scissor. If you have a little cutter bee scissor, there we go. Got her out. Got her out. So there we go. Isn't that cool? Oh, I missed a couple up here too. If you've got a, it's hard to do this in the air, but if you've got a mat, you can put it down and use that brush on a mat and it comes out a lot easier. But isn't that pretty? So you can use that on the side of a card. So cool. I like that one. Probably use that one on something. So then you can use that tool to get all the pieces out of here too. Now my surface here, if you haven't been following me, it's a sticky surface. It's a silicone mat instead of a mat that slides, that is like anti-stick, like the Ranger mat and all that. So I'm kind of trying to let all these pieces just fall right onto my mat here, because then I can just toss this whole thing, just dump it right into the garbage. Not bad, mostly clean. So I'm going to set that off to the side and I'm going to dump this into the garbaggio. I'll get all these little flecks later. So that is super cool. So this is done with ones that just cut out the negative space. There's 2 of them on there. And then this one was a whole die. Great big die. This is one of the dies that I started with my Cuttlebug, when they were starting to make the intricate dies that do like the embossing, which is what you can see with the gold over the top, the embossing that's in there. And I got so frustrated because this, no matter how I shimmed it, this would not cut out. And as soon as I got the Gemini, everything changed. It just cuts everything beautifully. Hey, Deb. Yeah, totally rewatch. I rewatch a lot of videos that aren't mine. So anyway, that we've just basically covered. I still have some time left. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'll probably make a card with that. But this is not the only brand. I just happen to have this brand. Penny and I tried out this brand and the Zigs, and they're different. They work in different ways. So it just depends on what you like to work with. I liked the way these worked. I have a tendency to like to stick with like the first thing I try. I don't know why. It's like, okay, I've learned that. Now I kind of know it. I kind of want to stick with it. But the other ones are absolutely wonderful too, the Zig ones. So don't get me wrong. And I have no idea how these go back in here. I'm just going to try to go by color family as best I can. Purple. What do I have left? I have one pink left. Oh, there we go. I'll have to put it here. And then, like I said, you can go ahead and just stack these up because these are stackable and they go back in the box. So before I go, I'm going to make a card for you guys. We're going to use some of the pieces that we have here. Hey, Josie. Okay. My favorite thing is like putting it on black so it pops, which is exactly why I did this way around with this guy, so that it just popped off the page. It's totally up to you. Like, let's say we've got a little bit of purple here, just a little bit of purple here. Maybe I want to pop that up on a piece of purple to kind of bring that purple out, to pop it out, if you know what I'm saying. And if you don't like the fact that some of these go off the side of the paper like this, you can take and fussy cut around this and use it as just a regular piece if you want. But I like this. I'm going to see if I can get this to go on the side. There we go. Get a couple of other little pieces out of here. On the side of a card. And I have some right here. This is a full panel, and this is a half of a card. All right, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 A2 size card base here, and I basically use almost always 110-pound cardstock. So that's what this is, and so this, if you folded it like a gatefold, if you folded these two in, this would be like one part of the gatefold that folded in. So it'd be like that. And then the other one would gatefold in like this. But I only made one. So I'm just going to use it like as the front of my card. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and glue this down. And then I'm just going to chop off the extra. Because that way I can get this lined up according to the edges here. And so it'll be pretty much straight. The only thing I didn't do was I didn't put any adhesive on this part right here, so it's not going to stick flat down. I'm okay with that. So I'm going to measure a little bit on these sides to see how that is and how far these are from the edge. And then when I feel like I have it straight, then I'm going to lock it down. Yeah, we didn't see a whole lot of difference between the two, but I really like the fact that they come in trays. But here's the thing, is that, you know, I can make art with just about anything, and it doesn't matter to me if they're super duper. Kind of should have maybe sprayed that so it laid down a little bit flatter, but how pretty is that card? We could put something over here, then I'm thinking maybe cutting out, or not cutting out, maybe laying down something black, because I think black always makes it a little bit more poppy. What else could we put there? Maybe, let me see what I got for die cuts. Ooh, a flower would be pretty. Let's see if we can die cut a flower, and we'll do it out of black. I have a flower die here. We're going to try this one right here. And let's try it not to demolish my magnetic mat this time. But I'm going to do this whole sheet of paper just so I don't have to worry about it wiggling around. I've never messed up my magnet mat before. I'm not sure what happened there. But I'm sure it won't be the last time either. Probably not. They're tools, not jewels. Gotta be okay with it. Alright, here we go. That was much better. Much better. All right. Uh-oh. Cutting side down. Darn it anyways. And I just told you why I put the cutting side up always. Now we got all of our mistakes out of the way. Let's get it done the right this time, shall we? Boy, I am full of it today. My golly, don't say they come in threes, because then we got one more mistake to get through yet. How many of you guys caught that before I did? Who says that? Tools, not jewels. I think it was the Frugal Crafter that coined that phrase. I could be wrong though. All right. No, I mean, you look at this, it's all dented up. Plus, you know, I've done it wrong several times and it still works. So you can be pretty hard on your Gemini and it's still going to work beautifully for you. No worries. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Try to get out the little pieces over my garbage can. Hopefully that got most of them. There's only a few in this one actually. And then we're going to poke it out of there. So as soon as you can grab a piece, you just got to be real gentle. That's a real thin piece. Check it out. Isn't that cool? So couldn't we put that right on here? I'm not sure where I want to put it. You guys help me with that. Let's do a vote, because we almost always have a vote. Where should the flower go? And should it go sideways like this? And we can always cut a little bit off. Or should it go like it's hanging upside down? So that we can say, you know, looks like it's coming in from the edge. What's your favorite? Hey Brenda, no problem, girlfriend. It's okay when you guys are late because this archives, so you can watch it again later. Whoop. Cheers! So I got a lot of sideways. So you want it to go sideways like this? Yep, sideways. It was totally fun. Oh my gosh. Maybe we'll just have to do a night where we all hang out together and just do watercoloring. Okay, we'll put it on this way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over in my garbage can and I'm going to spray it with my favorite spray right now that I'm going to run out of eventually. And that's this one. The Beacon Value Adhesive Spray that I can't find anymore. And I'm going to spray the back of it so that when I put it down on here, it'll all stick down. Let me make sure it's spraying right first. Oh my, yes it is. Okay. right? So to make sure I can get that all down flat, I'm just going to go ahead and do this so I don't accidentally pull it up. Bam, cute, right? And then we can just go ahead and cut this little swirl right off. We don't need it. And just because I mentioned it, let's go ahead and put a little bit of this gold on there. There, I've got a little bit of gold on the flower. We could even add gold to this and see what that looks like. The lighter you touch it, the more accurate you're going to be. Like if you don't want to get the background and stuff. And I really think that using your finger is probably your best bet at getting that the way you want it to be. Because like I pushed a little bit too hard right here, so I got a tiny little bit of gold there. But the rest of it got gold. Let's see. Let's see if we can get that cleared up so you can see it. There it is. That's pretty. I know, me too, Sandy, but they don't have it here anymore. Yeah, I like it with the gold too. I have to wash this off my finger now. So if you do get those, make sure that you wash them off your finger. eBay has a 6-pack for $20. That seems kind of high. I only say that because somebody else just said you can get one for $1. So a baby wipe worked. Got it off my nail and everything. Look at that. Baby wipe. They work wonders. I like to clean everything with my baby wipes. Cute. So before we wrap up, let me go ahead and just pull out some of the ones that I'm going to scoot some of this over to the side here. I might even pull out my what do you call it? My miracle roller. I can't remember if I washed it last time. Let's see if it'll pick it up, because I don't think I washed it. Oh, it picked up all the teeny tiny ones though. And that one right there, it won't pick up. I'm gonna wipe it with my trusty wet wipe. And I should be able to get most of the rest of it. Oh, look at that. This thing truly is a miracle. I love it. Alrighty, so the negative space, still watercolored. That came from this one. That was completely watercolored. Oh, the metallics I was using, they're called rub-ons. This would look awesome on the back of a card, just like this, with some flower center gems in the middle of each one. That would be really striking. That'd be really cool. This is another, the negative dies where it cuts out the negative space, but it doesn't cut all the way around. Like, you're not going to get a piece like this that comes out. You're only going to get the little negative pieces that fall out, and it's going to stay on your card. So that's really nice if you want to layer something underneath it. So let's say we want to put that on a black card. Look how that's going to turn out. Isn't that pretty? So your negative space is going to be black or whatever color you put it on. And then, of course, this one will look pretty on just about everything. I like the blue and purple side myself. I think that's really gorgeous. And that one, the rub-ons are really cool. I think, I don't know if she put one out or not. I don't want to go too far back up in the comments. Metallic rub-ons. This is Earth Tones kit, so it's got actually a couple of different kind of coppery golds in there. That one seems to be kind of a popular one. I'll see if I can get those in if you guys want to do an order for the rub-ons. That'd be fun. Super fun. I don't use them all the time, but when I do, I'm just like, I'm so glad I have these, because I used to use Rub and Buff, and you can get Rub and Buff from Hobby Lobby. I do believe it's still there. That's where I got mine. The only reason I don't use the Rub and Buff anymore is because the little cap cracked down the side, so I put some electrical tape around it, you know, to hold it together, and after time it just re-cracked and it all dried out. But I think this is much better than the Rub and Buff, personally. You get a lot more colors, so you're not just stuck to one. Alrighty. Well, super fun. We only have like 3 minutes left, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up, guys. So our next sale is August the 10th. I don't know if I should say this or not. Okay, so I'm going to try to make sure that we pull that off on the 10th. If for some reason I have to toggle my time, I will let you know, because my dad died in December, as you all know, so the ground and everything was frozen, and they don't open the mausoleums in winter, apparently. So we want to put his ashes in the mausoleum that my parents have, and she wants to do that in August. So I hope that we'll be able to go around it and it'll be just fine. But if not, I would definitely let you guys know. Just make sure that if you're not a part of our community, that you watch things that are going on in the community on Facebook, the Facebook community group. Answer the 3 questions so that we know we can keep that place drama and commitment free. And jump on in there, because if I do cancellations and stuff, or if somebody wins something or whatever, all that's going to be plastered in that group, and that's where you're going to find out all the information. So I invite you all to be there. Now, if you love this kind of stuff, you love to be with us on Free Play Friday, and you like to watch the 10-minute cards on Wednesday, both at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time every week, and you love the sales and all that stuff, and you want to keep this around, this is a community that you love and you want to support it, join us on patreon.com/qualitycrafts, and go ahead and give us your best pledge, and we will put you in the private group where there's even more perks and giveaways. Matter of fact, they just got their next free digi that popped up in that group, so if you haven't gotten your digi, pop in there and grab it. And I can't wait to see you guys next video.